All
All
right.
right.
Hi, everybody. So it's Lorina and Kimmie. We're doing another video, and it's been a little while. I changed locations, and Kimmie's, I'm not sure what.
I have too.
Oh, yes. So there you go. So always, there's always something going on. Anyway, so we're here to talk about some really interesting topics today, all fun, interesting, mystical stuff. So what did you want to talk about today? I'm handing it over to you.
Well, I think based on conversations we've had and things that have come up that we're going to be talking today about egregores. It's been mentioned a few times. I had a client of mine talk about a tulpa too, the thought forms and how they can take on a certain like life force and affect you and other parties. I think that would, and then maybe touching on our curse is real. So
yeah,
as topic number 2.
Yeah, that's big. Our curse is real. So so
what about magic today?
Well, yeah, magic. That's right. So what do you well, I'm handing it off to you again. What do you think about egregores, or what do you know about? And then I'll say what I know. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a newer topic for me. I have read, this is what I read about egregores, and I really like, we Ren from the Higher Perspective brought it up in her last little chat, but that what I read was an egregore can actually be created in magic rituals.
Mm-hmm.
So, and how that they are formed in more of like what you call the subtle or the astral realms is from calling in people that have gifts that can call in the different elementals, so the different elements. So like their life force is sort of created from people that have knowledge to whether they bring in the water or the earth element or the air, and then it almost is fueled by that, but then it also needs to be kept, its life force needs to be kept fed in order to serve the people that are calling it in, whether it takes the form of a deity or a spirit in a culture. That's sort of what I know about it. Or I think I know about it.
Yeah, and that would be a deliberate or consciously created egregore. Yeah, and what I have seen myself personally, and what I've read about and listened to a bunch of stuff about egregores, is that they can be unconsciously created, and they're like they're thought forms. They're kind of extreme. I don't know if extreme is quite the right word, but thought forms that a lot of energy is put into these thought forms, and those thought forms become an entity but they actually are not entities, but they may look like entities. They don't have a true life, an individuated life, like you are individuated life form, and so am I. These are not individuated life forms. They are constructed through thoughts, intention, and will, and a lot of like energy fed into this thing. Yeah, so sports teams, that can be a sports team can be an egregore, or a religion can be an egregore, where a lot of people are putting energy into this thing, and we believe this, and they keep feeding it, and it takes on a life of its own. Yeah, anyway, and so what I've seen, I did do an energy, I'm going to tell this story. So I did do an energy healing on this guy, and he had an egregore. And what that means is that he created this construct with another woman, and they're usually created by 2 or more people, to create that energy construct. And so what was happening, that there's a lot of emotion that's put into the egregore. So he was having sex with a woman that was like he was the boss of this woman at work. He had a lot of guilt around it. There was a lot of heavy duty attraction between the two. So sex, attraction, that's a lot of energy. So this woman, and actually she became a stalker to this guy. So this became this huge problem, but they kept having sex. They kept having this relationship that he knew. he could lose his job over this relationship. And so what happened, so he came in for an energy healing. This is quite a successful guy. He did not know what to do or how to get out of this thing. So inside, energetically inside of his like belly area, almost looked like a pregnancy in a sense. And he didn't have a big belly. He was very in shape and fit. I pulled out this thing that looked like this weird deformed baby that was, was about this big. And this is an egregore. This is an unconsciously created egregore, where this thing, if he would have kept doing that, it would have got bigger and bigger and bigger and had power over his life and her life, because they're feeding this energy construct with sex. Sex is very powerful. There's a lot of energy put into the sex act. Anyway, it's just really strange. And when I pulled it out, it was like, oh my God, this thing is ugly. and he felt it. It was like, wow, what is that? This and sometimes, like, when we're doing a lot of things that we shouldn't be doing with other people, that can create an energy construct that can become an egregore that can almost have a power over these people because they're all feeding it. Anyway, that's an unconscious egregore. Pretty wild. Anyway, so he finally did break up this relationship, but it was very difficult. Anyway.
I guess I never realized it could be like conscious, like when I'm talking about doing magic. I'm sorry, there's like a whisper out here if you can hear it.
No.
Whether you're doing it consciously or whether you're doing it unconsciously by feeding it through shadow emotions that you're unwilling to acknowledge or heal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Sort of like, what's her name? Byron Katie, like her stuff. Like we feed, and family dynamics can feed these constructs too, where they become like this entity almost of like things that we're feeding that by negative emotions or acting in certain ways that we really shouldn't. It's like feeding the beast. Right. Feeding the beast, and the beast becomes really powerful and just wants to continue to be fed. That is an energy construct that is created by thoughts and emotions and actions based on those thoughts and emotions. Yeah.
I guess how I would approach it, like, thinking about in the healing concept, because I'm really into Byron Katie and like this whole idea of the work and questioning your thoughts. And like, I guess what my whole take on it would be like, just understanding Buddhist belief systems and stuff, like not pushing away the thoughts. Pushing away the thoughts has not worked for me. Like, oh, don't think that, or just like ignore the thoughts. It's really trying to dig into what is the base emotion that I haven't felt, or the belief, even the base belief that's sort of driving those other thoughts. And then approaching that original wounding or like intense, like an emotion that was just too intense to deal with, and just feeling it. And then like, usually once it's just the resistance to it. And once you like disperse that feeling, then it's so much easier. At least that's the way I see it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's like a pendulum, like we were talking about too. The pendulum, which is very much like an egregore. A pendulum in reality. Vadim Zeland, he's a Russian physicist. He wrote the book called Reality Transurfing. I highly recommend reading that if you or listening to it on YouTube, because it's recorded on YouTube.
Reality Transurfing?
Reality Transurfing. Yeah, a very powerful work. But like, I think it's the third chapter, they get into something called pendulums, and he does bring up egregores. And those are like, again, they are belief systems that become these energy constructs that you get stuck in. And there's examples of it all the time. And usually there's a polarity. There's one side and then there's another side. And it takes on a life of its own, and it wants to be fed. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter if you're on this side or if you're on this side. The battle between these two things keep the construct going. And the construct doesn't care. It doesn't care what side you're on or what you believe in, or I'm the good guy and I'm the bad guy, and this war and this war, and it doesn't matter. What matters is getting stuck in it and feeding it. So how you get out of that is you just step out of it. You just step out of it, feel whatever's going on. Because the pendulum will always want to pull you back into those constructs where and it's like the Matrix. You're playing that game. Which side am I on? Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? And it doesn't mean all pendulums are bad, because there can be good ones that can actually assist you in going where you want to go as far as what you want to create in your life. But it's good to learn how to recognize that you're stuck in energy constructs that want to hold you in place. Yeah.
This got me thinking about, it's interesting, like in acupuncture school, like we talk about a lot of these concepts that like sometimes you're like, I don't understand what that really means. Like, but like some of the pathologies in the body, like they'll say are wind. Like, oh, there's this wind, like our pernicious evil wind. And that always stuck with me. Like, what does that even mean? But a wind is caused by two different, or like if you think about a tornado, or it's caused by two different like atmospheric pressures that are very extreme, like one really hot, or I don't know how the whole weather system works, but so it's that polarity. And I wonder if it's really trying to address more of this whole understanding of like pendulum within in the emotional, like the emotional being. So
yeah, because you have to go into the center of that to first of all, you have to accept that both are there. Like there's a level of acceptance that there's that battle between the two, and go to that middle place. Go to the middle place where, it's the middle path where you can choose what you want instead of getting caught up in it, in the swing of the pendulum, because pendulums can be destructive too. I mean very destructive. If you're not like I was raised Mormon, so if you want to get like those religions and a lot of cold stuff, it's like a lot of cold stuff. I'm not saying the Mormon Church is a cult, but it may be.
It's
very politically correct. But anyway, so I was raised Mormon. I can say what I want to about the religion, but if you get out of the pendulum of the Mormon Church, then you swing to the other side that, oh, you're bad. You're not part of us anymore. So we're going to shun you or kick you out or excommunicate you. You're not part of the group anymore. So it could actually become a problem in your life because you're not part of the group.
Right.
And you lose what the group holds. So you could get caught on the other side of it. So, or you could just quietly leave where you're not caught in that construct. But that it's hard to do when you're in those, if you're in a society that it holds particular beliefs, and that you need to be part of that. That's in order to survive even. Yeah. There's
it's almost like black and white thinking, or makes me think about even like belief systems that exist within ourselves that are very contrasting.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Like you're either all good if you're part of, like, if you think about a religion, you're either, in God's grace and part of a beautiful community and tribe, to suddenly like you even question anything, you're just, the door is shut and you're excommunicated and you're on your own. Like that's really extreme. For like, can't there be, like, you're right, can't there just be like somewhere in the middle? But there is not.
But a lot of times there isn't. Yeah. And that is belief systems that we get caught up in. Like in today's society, there's like, are you conservative or are you liberal? How about you're neither? Because it's a polarity that is a pendulum, and that you can.
They use it.
It's used to actually manipulate you. So just pull yourself out of it and just go, okay, I'm just watching the game. I'm being an observer because I don't want to get caught up in that. It's not useful or helpful to me. That's an example. That's all. Yeah. So
I wonder, I wonder where to place this experience. I know I always tell you guys these different things that happened to me in ayahuasca, but like she brought up this she gave me in this journey. She had me purge, but then like all of a sudden she's like, I want you to lay on your back. And I laid on the back and I was looking up at the ceiling. And all of a sudden she showed me all these little like images floating by, like my eyes, like, and then she's like, look, one of them was religion. The other one, I mean, it was just all these, and then she's like, well, they're all beliefs.
Yeah.
And she's like, and I was like, oh, and she's like, they're all flawed. And like, and I'm like, what? And then she's like, the more you can let go of what you're told to believe here, the more you will actually experience what is real. And I remember that always stuck with me because it was a little scary at the same time because it was like she was stripping me of beliefs that I had inside of me.
Yeah.
But then I was subconsciously, I was worried, like what exists if there is no beliefs, nothing to hang on to.
Yeah.
It's like liberation, right? It would be liberation.
Yeah. That's, that reminds me of doing matrix energetics workshops, and that gets into like the morphic field, which is kind of pretty much very, very similar thing, but that we believe what we believe shapes our reality. And I've had that experience where I saw, and I always tell people when I'm teaching classes, like, drop your belief systems, but your belief systems are so embedded in our lives, in society, that it's really hard to do that. Maybe so Aya would help with that, sounds like, but
it wasn't comfortable.
Yeah, it's not comfortable. What I saw, I was doing some breath work, and that's when I saw the black and white. And because we talked a little bit about that, I saw this white being that was incredibly beautiful, like superhuman powerful white being. And next to it was this black being, super, super powerful, all black. One was good, one was bad. This is good, this is evil, good, evil. And what I heard was, and I was actually bilocating when this was happening. So I was really like here watching this happen, was you can be as good as you want to be, or you can be as bad as you want to be. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And they actually also said, you do have superhuman powers. We all do. We're locked in by our belief systems. We are locked in by what we believe. I mean, we experience what we believe. And then, because then I saw this construct, almost like it looked like a hologram. And they showed me these shapes of what the hologram looks like. It was a tube, it looked like a tube, but it had these circles, well, actually oval shapes all the way around, very symmetrical. But inside was like, this is your being, and your belief systems project out, and that's what you experience. And it was like, so, and that was the first time I ever said, okay, so I think we are living in a hologram. And because that's what I was shown. But so anyway, because I don't want to say I believe very often. But we believe a lot of things. But that's when I finally went, oh yeah, you know what? It actually might be real that we are in a hologram, and that we're projecting out all our beliefs, and that's what we experience. But it is also it's communal. I mean, we're all doing it together. But anyway. But the black and white thing, it's like this polarity. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, drop all that. What's underneath that? What is underneath that? The void. That I guess the void is a little bit scary. And I've experienced that too. But,
you have? Oh, wow.
Yeah, in that same experience. I was in this space of like, nothing. So there was a whole bunch of experiences that happened with that. And I also experienced, in the void, I felt this greater being that was just there, but kind of constructing everything, or energetically constructing in this nothingness. So anyway.
That would be like, I guess, the cosmic mother, because you're in the great womb, right? At that point. And I heard it can be very terrifying in the beginning, but then like once you move past that and you like let yourself experience it, supposedly it's like complete bliss just to feel right, like that true nature.
I think I didn't feel afraid. I felt like I was just kind of the observer and watching what was there, like being given like information through feelings and observing and just and being. Yeah. Anyway,
Wow.
that was cool. Breath work.
That's how we escape
What was
egregores.
that?
Is that how we escape this constant creation of that push and pull, like
Yeah.
of the whole idea of the black and the white experience? We keep coming
Yeah.
back, either being the good guy, and the next time we get to be the bad guy, and
Yes.
or play
Yeah.
of existence that just keeps going until we decide that we've gotten all we need out of we're tired of the swing and we want
Yeah.
to embrace everything.
Yeah. Yeah. We were, yes. I've had the same experience from like, doing San Pedro. I don't know if I want to say that on a video, but I am. But you were there. Anyway, so I'll just say
Yes.
I had that same experience where I was watching the black and white, the good, the bad, the good and bad. And I saw myself as like an evil, like at some point I played out the evil, like I was a witch who loved being on the dark side. And so I think that's why I've never been interested in witchcraft and stuff, because I've already done it.
Same here.
Yeah. But that polarity, I'm watching these lifetimes and these beings playing out the good and the bad and, you know, dark light. And I'm just like, I am so tired of you guys. I'm tired of the black and white thing. And I literally got up and walked away. It's like, oh, geez, I don't want to do this anymore. This is ridiculous. This good, bad. Yeah. Let's just find it. Again, it's that middle, it's the middle path where you're not reacting to either one. You're just being. Yeah. Anyway.
Then maybe eventually we get off this rock. No, just kidding. Like,
yeah.
You supposedly transcend the matrix or whatever.
Yeah.
Kids say days.
That's the idea. Yes. and it's like, okay, rise to a different place where this does not exist, where the polarity is not as strong. And yeah, we just get to enjoy being.
Yeah.
Anyway. So what else do we do? I think we're done with that. What else are we going to talk about?
We were going to talk about Are Curses Real?
Yeah.
I don't even know how we kind of came up with this, but like we were talking about that healing session you had, and I thought it went with the egregore conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell my experience. So I was doing, and I've talked about this before, but I was doing energy healing on this woman, and she's this beautiful young woman. She's about 26. She's on my table, and I'm walking around her, and there was something in her field that felt very toxic, like poison. And I couldn't figure out what it was, because it was not her. It was not who she is. Like it didn't belong to her. And so I'm walking around her, I'm going, so I finally just said, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. It feels like poison. And it's in your field. It's really kind of in your field, like inside your field, like energetically in her body even. And I said, but it doesn't feel like it belongs to you. It's there and it feels like poison or toxic. It's toxic and doesn't belong to you. And she said, oh, that's my mother. And the minute she said that, this energy came up out of her, and it looked like a ghost. It looked like a female ghost that rose out of her body. I don't know, about 8 inches or so above her body. Like it rose out, and then it went poof, and it disappeared. It completely disappeared. Like it was gone. And she saw it. I saw it. She felt it. It was, and we both went, whoa. Like that was wild. And we didn't really talk about it. So I didn't find out what her mother was like. I didn't find out what was going on with her, or that she lived with her. I don't know. But what I know is that a curse? Is that an egregore? I think it was kind of an unconscious curse that her mother is projecting all this energy on her that's very, very toxic. She doesn't know how to defend herself energetically against it. So she's absorbing this energy, and it's getting in there. I mean, really in there. And at some point, she probably would have come up with a sickness, some sort of illness that reflected this poison or toxins that she's being projected, that her mother is projecting onto her. So I think you could call that a curse, but it's not a conscious one. Right. I don't think it's a conscious one. I don't think her mother was like, doing spells and curses and throwing it at her. I think it was just this continual energy that's being projected onto her.
And I wonder, like, as you were talking, it made me think about, like, a child doesn't have the same will as an adult. So if her mother was older, or older when she was raising her, maybe it was hypercritical and she absorbed her mother's words as her own. She was still in that susceptible phase of her subconscious programming.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we can, just by, if we're around somebody that we don't like very much and we can't help it, we're throwing like, I don't like you energy at them continually. That is, in a sense, an unconscious curse. And so there's some sort of whoever's doing that. I mean, it is hard not to do that if we don't like something. It's hard not to, like, we have a boss that we hate, and every time they walk by, we're like pulling faces at them, and throwing some bad energy at them. In a sense, that is a type of curse. Now, depending on how strong you are, energetically, that could really affect somebody. What do you think about that? Yeah.
Well, it just got me thinking, me, I'm kind of always like trying to find the root of everything.
Yeah, sure.
And it's got me thinking, I know we were talking about this a little bit in the prep talk, but this whole idea of like radical responsibility. And like, if that person is sending that other person thoughts and interacting with them, and is it really coming from that other person's subconscious beliefs about themselves? Like, is that just an external projection of something that's already going on internally? And so that's why I'm just really drawn to like changing my reality on the external based on what the hell's going on with me inside of me.
Oh, that's a great thing to do. Yeah. So that's a good question. I mean, are
person really real in the sense, or are we just cursing ourselves? You know what I mean? Like the external world all we want, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a good question, but I do think curses are real. But are we in agreement with that person who's throwing the curse at us somewhere inside of ourselves, and so we allow it to happen?
Yeah.
That's the question. I think that's absolutely could be. Yeah.
And like, I'll share something that's a little bit wacky. Well,
let's hear it.
Okay. It goes back to ayahuasca. But I didn't realize on my mother's lineage that there was some curanderismo, which like going on. Like, when I say that, I mean like it went a little, I guess, dark, because like a lot of where it was coming from is the women I think it was my mom's line. What I saw was like other women were coming to them knowing their practices or knowing some of the things they knew and asking for curses on the men. Which is
there's some anger at men, shall we say?
Like for being like some of the machismo that took place in the Tejano Mexican culture. Sorry, the phone's ringing now. Can't get away from the noise, but
that's okay. I can't hear it. So
okay. And so what I heard, what she was showing me is like some of that energy that was created in my genetics, that throwing of anger, that cursing other, like it caused problems within my own DNA for the women's relationships with their own partners. So it's just like, wow, we think we can get away with this stuff, but whatever we create then comes back on us anyways, right?
Yeah.
So
that's what they say. I cursed my parents. I cursed my parents once, and it wasn't like I was thinking I'm going to curse my parents. There was a lot of stuff going on, like a lot. And I was about 19, and it was a really rough time in my life. Really rough. someday I'll do a video about that time. But anyway, I was really angry at them, really, really angry. And they did some things that were really good, that were actually really bad. And I had a lot of unresolved issues, a lot. So, but I remember one day, I can't remember why, but all of a sudden I burst out and I yelled it out loud that I was going to curse them for like the next 7 years. And this is what was going to happen. What's interesting is that what happened was, and I meant it. I mean, I like said it and I threw it out into the
Your
ethers.
emotions and
Yeah. But the thing is that what ended up happening is I ended up living with them for the next 7 years.
oh my God.
I mean, I think there was an on and off moving out, but mostly I lived with them for the next 7 years. And I think that there was a tie-in about a responsibility between the three of us, and something had to be worked out. So something did happen when I did that. And I couldn't help it. It just came out like, anyway, so there is something to that. Absolutely. But
did anything happen to them in those 7 years while you were there with all that energy and that?
Oh, well, kind of, yeah.
Okay. Anything emotional
It's such a long story that, yeah. But I ended up living with my parents, and that's when my sister Jana died.
Oh.
And through that time period. But what ended up happening, I was the only sibling that lived there besides Jana. But I needed to be there, actually, to, I think it helped ease their difficulty, me being there and having somebody there besides just them two.
Yeah.
And so it was just a strange turn of events that I actually did need to be there. So, just interesting. And I'm glad that I was there actually for that. Yeah, it was it was rough, but life-changing too. So yeah. Anyway, that's another story.
I'm hearing that one.
Yeah, that's Jana became one of my spirit guides who helped lead me. And so
into your life path.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Like she would come to me in my dreams and talk to me and tell me, this is what you're supposed to do. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, be careful cursing people.
I was going to say, like, the one thing I've learned is emotion. I heard like charges, is like the secret, not the secret ingredient, but like, so like, that's why it's so important to like heal your emotional body, like, so that, you take responsibility for your emotions and how you throw them out. But I think what we've learned in this conversation is like, you're a magical being. If you're even, throwing and using magic, whether you are aware of it or not. Like,
and absolutely. Yes. And that's what we create. We can create egregores, we can create curses, we can also create wonderful lives. I mean, just really wonderful lives for ourselves. I also had that one experience where I had done some yoga and then breath work and meditated. And when I was meditating, I went into the state where I was shown, it was one of those instantaneous meditations where you're just like there. And what I was shown was that we really are those powerful beings that we keep hearing that we are. Like Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this, that we are magical beings. We do have superpowers. And while it was like this energy came in, was saying, yes, absolutely, you do have superpowers. And they were kind of showing me, and it wasn't just show though. I got the feelings of those superpowers, like what it feels like to have them. And that sounds a little crazy, and I realize that, but I got to feel it, that we do have that. So we do have powers. So yeah, so all of those emotions that we throw out, like really not monitor, watch them, observe them. What are they serving you? Or are they not serving you? But don't fight with them, accept them. Go, okay, what's that about? Find the root of what that is, so that you can find healing.
Right.
Really, because you can heal. I'm here to say it. You can heal. Glory, hallelujah.
That's so funny. I was just about to say, I think our next talk should be like, we're talking about like how powerful we are, how magical we are, like how, like maybe like our next conversation, let's talk about self-healing.
I would love that, because I've been studying that conscious creation, quantum jumping into different realms and things like that. That's really cool. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, it was great talking, Kimmie, and
as always,
again, as always. And
one of my favorite spiritual people to talk to, Lorina.
Yes, yes. Anyway, everybody out there in YouTube land, have a wonderful day, and go out there and consciously create.
Thank you for being with us.
Yes, thanks for being with us. All right, bye.
Bye.